So we have already dealt with what is principles of superposition. It says that the forces in one direction should be equal to the sum of forces in the other direction. So this is very clear that in this problem, this is 20, this is 40, forces in one direction is 60 and the forces in other direction is also 60. अगर एक unknown भी होता तो भी आप आराम से निकाल सकते हो. The purpose is to find out total delta L. You need to find out total delta L. So to find out total delta L, we can either move from left to right or right to left depending upon your choice. So let us say that we are moving in this direction. So if you are moving in this direction, isolate AB. So if you isolate AB, this is 20, this is 40, and this is member AB. So this becomes your reference, this becomes your manipulator. So what you are doing in the manipulator, you add 20 and you delete 20. So principle of superposition at this instance also stands true. आपने 20 एक डायरेक्शन में जोड़ा, 20 दूसरे डायरेक्शन में जोड़ा, तो अगर यही इसी फिगर को उठा के वापस यहाँ पे डाल दोगे तो आपका प्रिंसिपल ऑफ सुपरपोजिशन सही रहेगा. तो दिस वैल्यू एंड दिस वैल्यू विल बी यूटिलाइज्ड as the final AB. So if this is AB, your final value comes out to be, this is 20 Newton, this is 20 Newton. And what you are left with is 40 in this direction, 20 in this direction. So we'll draw the diagram for BC now. So for BC, you can see that it is something like this. So what is left here, 40 here, 20 here, means it is for 20 here. And this is 50 here. ठीक है, पिछले से अगला कोरिलेट करने के लिए सम ऑफ फोर्सेस सही लेना. अगर तुमने इन दोनों को ले लिया तो ये दो बार जुड़ जाएंगे तो ये 60 हो जाएगा. गलतियां अमूमन लोग ऐसी यही करते हैं. Now this is your left hand side, this is your reference, and the other side becomes your manipulator. So what you do is you add 20 here and again you subtract 20 here. So this value and this value are further utilized. So this becomes 20 here and 20 here. So you are left with 70. So the last one is not balanced. So that automatically means that you have gone wrong somewhere. Can anybody tell me what is wrong here?
सर एबी में 40 का डायरेक्शन.
40 का
Yes.
डायरेक्शन.
AB में 40 का डायरेक्शन गलत है. So this is 40. ठीक. So if this is 40, now here this becomes 60. देखा आपने, एक छोटी सी गलती अगर आपने कहीं कर ली तो ये कितना कैरी आउट होता है. अगर ये 60 है तो अब यहाँ पे 60-60 जुड़ेंगे. मेरा कहने का मतलब ये है कि आपको हर जगह बहुत कॉशियस रहना पड़ेगा. So you are adding 60 here, deleting 60 here. So this 60 and this 60 are utilized and they give you a final value of 60 here. Okay, so this is BC. Now coming back to CD, what you are left with. Now this 60 and this 60 have been utilized. This is 50 here. Now the direction of 50 is here and 60 and 50, this become 110. अब इसमें क्या गलती है?
सर बीसी में जो 60 की डायरेक्शन है.
Yes. देखो 60 इधर था, तो ये 60 इधर हो गया। सो इस 60 की जगह अब ये 60 यूटिलाइज हुआ। सो 60 and 60, now this is again it will be reversed. So this is again tensile, this is again tensile. So you are left with 10 in this direction. So the last section should auto balance itself. If it is not balancing itself, then you need to go back and see what all is wrong. So here delta L total is equal to delta L of 1 plus delta L of 2 plus delta L of 3. So delta L of 1 will be 20 into L1 PL by AE. So let us put A also here. This is pi by 4 into D1 square multiplied by E1. Let us say they are of made of same material, different materials. Now this is 60 into L2 4PL by pi E D1 D2, क्योंकि ये एक टेपर्ड सेक्शन है with a constantly decreasing diameter. So the formula is 4PL by pi E D1 D2. And similarly, delta L3 you can find out as 10 into L3 divided by pi by 4 into D2 square into E3. If they are made up of the same material, then E1, E2, E3 are same. If they are made up of different materials, they are different. All three forces that you have calculated are tensile in nature, so all three will be positive in nature. You can simply add them up and calculate the total change in length. So now let us come to the second type of problem. This is a type of problem. This is also solved using principle of superposition. You can see that you have a member which is being acted upon by a horizontal force of 15. This is a normal force and it is acting somewhere like this. Now it is supported from both the ends, so it automatically means that we need to find out the reactions. So to find out the reactions, what we have done is, let us say this reaction is Ra and this reaction is Rb. Now there are no vertical forces, so no vertical component etc. will be considered. Okay, let us say this length is L1, this length is L2. So by principle of superposition, you can write that Ra plus 50 is equal to RC. This is RC. Okay. Now, these directions you have chosen as per your choice. If the answer comes out to be negative, it will be said that the directions need to be reversed. So ये डायरेक्शन आप अपनी मर्जी से चूज कर सकते हैं। ऐसा नहीं है कि आरे का डायरेक्शन यही होगा, आप आरे का डायरेक्शन दूसरी तरफ ले लीजिए, आरसी का दूसरी तरफ ले लीजिए, अल्टीमेटली यू विल अराइव एट द सेम आंसर. So this is equation 1. Now, if you look at the other concept, here you can see that there are two unknowns. So if there are two unknowns, you need to form two equations. So the other equation now here is that delta L of AB should be equal to delta L of BC. ठीक है? You can write it in this way, or you can also write this as delta L of AB plus delta L of BC is equal to 0. More genuine is this one. So if you write this, this has to be preceded with a negative sign. Okay, so prefer not writing this because this is not a mathematical statement. This is a mathematical statement that the total change in length of both these bars combined will be 0. Why it will be 0? Because it is rigidly fixed from both the ends. There is no provision for extension. तो एक जितना बढ़ेगा दूसरा उतना ही correspondingly घट जाएगा ताकि आपका net change in length 0. So now you have two equations and you have two unknowns. So let us find out how they act. If you isolate AB, if you isolate AB, what do you get? You get Ra in this direction, you have 50 in this direction. So to balance it, what we are doing, we are adding Ra and we are subtracting Ra. Okay. So this and this, they are utilized. So Ra finally becomes like member AB finally becomes something like this. This is Ra and this is Ra. This is member AB. Now coming to member BC. Now member BC is how much? This is 50 here, Ra here, because this has been utilized. So 50 plus Ra is left here. And what do you get here? This is RC. So if you see 50 plus Ra is actually equal to RC, so it is one and the same. So this can be finally written as 50 plus Ra on one side and 50 plus Ra on the other side. Now what is delta L for this? This will be Ra into L1 divided by A1 into E1. So generally area and E are same for these because you cannot have two different materials joined like this. So Ra into L1 divided by AE. For here you have 50 plus Ra multiplied by L2 divided by AE, because again A and E will be same for this. So add them up. So add them up means you have Ra L1 divided by AE plus 50 plus Ra L2 divided by AE is equal to 0. So if you solve them, you have Ra L1 plus 50 plus Ra L2 is equal to 0. So here you have L1 is known to you, L2 is known to you, you can calculate Ra. Once you get the value of Ra, RC can easily be found out and you can calculate the magnitude of Ra and RC in this problem. Okay. Now let us come to bars in parallel. वो बार्स इन सीरीज था, अब इसमें पैरेलल क्या है, इसका सबसे बड़ा एग्जांपल होता है आरसीसी. ठीक है. आरसीसी का मतलब होता है रीइंफोर्स्ड सीमेंट कंक्रीट. आप अपना घर परिवार में देखते होगे, कॉलम पड़ते हैं, बीम पड़ती है, ये सारी आरसीसी है. बीच में सरिये होते हैं और चारों तरफ कंक्रीट होता है. कंक्रीट इज अ मिक्सचर ऑफ सीमेंट, सैंड एंड चिप्स. ठीक है. एवरीथिंग हैज इट्स ओन इम्पोर्टेंस एंड दे आर मिक्सड इन स्पेसिफिक प्रोपोर्शंस. तो ये एक आरसीसी कंक्रीट है जिसमें 4 आयरन बार्स हैं, उनके डायमीटर गिवन है और ये आरसीसी का आपको ये दिया हुआ. अब इसमें बार्स इन पैरेलल क्यों है? बार्स इन पैरेलल इस वजह से है क्योंकि देखो अगर आप पिछला प्रॉब्लम देखो, सो दे आर कनेक्टेड टू ईच अदर इन सीरीज. ये सीरीज का मतलब दे आर कनेक्टेड इन अ सिंगल लाइन. Whereas if you look at this situation, they are connected parallelly. ठीक है. So if you have a force P acting on it, let us say a force P is acting on it. So what will happen? Every component will be subjected to a certain amount of force and they will have different delta L, different deflection, different compression or different strains. Now, for members of these type, if any component has a different strain value as compared to the other one, what will happen? वो बाहर निकल जाएगा. So for this system to remain in equilibrium, ठीक है, for this system to remain in equilibrium, let us take the other problem that will make it very clear. Let us say this. Here you have two steel pipes, one copper pipe, and they are placed like this, and a force P is acting on it. Let us take this problem. This will make your understanding more clear. वो हम बाद में ले लेंगे. अब अगर मान लो कि स्टील कॉपर ज्यादा कंप्रेस हो गया, तो कॉपर अगर ज्यादा कंप्रेस हो गया तो ये नीचे आ जाएगा. जैसे ही नीचे आएगा तो सारा भार स्टील पे आ जाएगा. ठीक, क्योंकि ये साथ छोड़ देगा ना इस बार का. सो फॉर स्टेबिलिटी ऑफ दिस सिस्टम, okay, so delta L of steel should be equal to delta L of copper. Delta, for stability of this system, delta L of steel has to be equal to delta L of copper. So this means that the forces cannot be equally distributed in all the three members. So the distribution of forces says that if you look at the distribution, you have to form equations. Now these equations have to be formed by your own intelligence. This says that 2 times P steel plus P copper will be equal to P. Why 2 times steel? Because steel के दो मेंबर है और कॉपर का एक मेंबर है. सो 2 टाइम्स P स्टील प्लस P कॉपर विल बी इक्वल टू द टोटल लोड P. इसका मतलब P के 3 हिस्से होंगे, जिसमें से 2 हिस्सा स्टील के पास जाएगा और एक हिस्सा कॉपर के पास जाएगा. और ये हिस्से बराबर नहीं होंगे, क्योंकि अगर बराबर होंगे तो कॉपर की स्ट्रेंथ कम है, वो ज्यादा डिफॉर्म कर जाएगा. जैसे ही ज्यादा डिफॉर्म करेगा सारा लोड स्टील के ऊपर आ जाएगा. ठीक. सो लोड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कैसे होगा? these are your two equations. So if these are your two equations, हम अमूमन इसमें स्ट्रेस निकालते हैं. The job is to find out the stresses in all the three members or any two members. So इसमें जब stresses कैलकुलेट करोगे तो डेल्टा एल ऑफ स्टील क्या हो गया? P स्टील इंटू पी एल बाई ए, लेंथ ऑफ स्टील. सो लेंथ तो तीनों की बराबर है, डिवाइडेड बाई एरिया ऑफ स्टील मल्टीप्लाइड बाई ई ऑफ स्टील शुड बी इक्वल टू कॉपर. सो कॉपर कितना हो गया? P ऑफ कॉपर multiplied by, obviously length is same, area of copper because they can have different diameters, and E of copper, E तो अलग होगा ही होगा. ठीक. अब चूंकि यहाँ पे दो स्टील मेंबर्स हैं तो 2 टाइम्स P स्टील, मैंने चलो एक एक करके निकाल लेते हैं. सो ये हो गया. इससे आपको P स्टील और P कॉपर के बीच में एक रिलेशनशिप मिल जाएगी, क्योंकि L पता है, A पता है, E पता है. तो आपको you will get a relationship P steel is equal to sometimes P copper. This is equation number 3. This is equation number 1. This is equation number 2. Use equation 2 and 3 to calculate P steel and P copper. Once you know P steel and P copper, stresses in steel will be equal to P steel divided by A steel, and stresses in copper will be equal to P copper divided by A copper. ठीक है. अगर आप इनको किताबों में देखो तो किताबों में एक रिप्रेजेंटेशन और मिलता है. देखो, P स्टील बाई A स्टील इज स्ट्रेस इन स्टील. सो स्ट्रेस इन स्टील मल्टीप्लाइड बाई L डिवाइडेड बाई E स्टील is equal to stress in copper multiplied by L divided by E copper. ठीक है. इससे आप सीधे सीधे स्ट्रेस निकाल सकते हो. ठीक. तो इट इज वन एंड द सेम, किसी भी तरह से करो. द अल्टीमेट एम इज टू कैलकुलेट द stresses in these three members. So if you are calculating stresses in these three members, what you are doing is you are actually calculating either the values of loads or the values of stresses, whatever is applicable and whatever you actually want to find out. Now, how to check whether your answers are right or not? Because you will obviously be getting some values. So, to check E, if obviously, if you look at this type of material used, E steel is more than E copper. So, जिसकी E ज़्यादा है उसका P ज़्यादा आएगा. Greater the value of P, sorry, greater the value of E, greater is P. If you try to understand in very simple languages, अगर मान लो दो लोग हैं और दो लोगों को बीच में एक 100 किलो का सामान रखा हुआ है, which is obviously dividable, and you are asked to carry it from one point to another. You cannot divide it 50-50, because एक आदमी जो मजबूत है उसके लिए हो सकता है 50 किलो कोई भी मायने न रखता हो, दूसरा आदमी जो कमजोर है उसको हम अगर उतना ही दे देंगे तो वो ले ही जा नहीं पाएगा. So what you do, depending upon your these types of problems are actually common sense. हम करते क्या है, जो मजबूत है वो ज्यादा ले जाता है. अगर मान लो बाप बेटे सामान उठा रहे हैं, बेटा छोटा है, तो क्या करता है, पिताजी जो है बेटे को कम दे देते हैं. चल तू 30 किलो ले जा, मैं 70 किलो ले जाता हूँ. भाई, आई हैव मोर स्ट्रेंथ देन यू, so I am carrying the greater amount of load. So greater the strength. Now strength here is easily measurable by the values of E. So once you know the values of E, you can always estimate that किसका P ज्यादा आएगा. So जिसका P, अगर ये आपका configuration सही बैठ जाता है तो then you are moving in the right direction. If it does not happen, then obviously you have gone wrong. You need to go back and calculate where did you go wrong. So now coming back to the previous problem, bars in parallel. Now this was a uh, system where this is a general RCC format where you have steel rods placed in between, and the other part which is left vacant is filled up by concrete, and concrete is a mixture of sand, cement and chips. ठीक है, obviously they are mixed in a proper ratio and both of them have different strengths. So in your fifth semester, I'll be teaching you if I actually teach you, I'll be teaching you why steel rods are used in concrete. Because in any civil construction, the only type of load that is applicable is compressive load. Cement is supposed to be a material which is having the ग्रेटेस्ट अमाउंट ऑफ कंप्रेसिव स्ट्रेंथ बियरिंग कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स. इसीलिए आपने सीमेंट वगैरह के ऐड में देखा होगा विराट कंप्रेसिव स्ट्रेंथ, कहीं पे भी टेंसाइल स्ट्रेंथ की बात नहीं करते हैं. सो इट हैज गुड कंप्रेसिव स्ट्रेंथ. सो इफ इट हैज गुड कंप्रेसिव स्ट्रेंथ और लोड सारे कंप्रेसिव है, व्हाई डू यू नीड टू इंसर्ट आयरन रॉड्स इनटू इट, वेयर एज iron rods are said to be equally good in compression and tension. So that we'll see in strength of materials in the fifth semester. But right now, this is a system of RCC where you have 4 rods and you have an RCC block. RCC means a concrete block. Now these are in parallel. So if you again apply the concept that we have seen previously, you can say that the total load P will be distributed in such a manner that P of concrete plus P of steel, it will be distributed evenly, not equally. It will be distributed evenly. That means on the basis of ratio of strengths. On the basis of ratio of strengths. वो भी हमने इसमें देख लिया है. If you go back, the stresses are distributed on because length is equal. If length is equal, what is the parameter which divides the ratio? The ratio is possible on the basis of strength. E जिसकी ज्यादा उसका सिग्मा ज्यादा, तभी ये रेशियो बराबर होगा. ठीक. So total P is P concrete, CO is concrete and P of steel. Other condition that remains valid is delta L of concrete has to be equal to delta L of steel. If it does not happen, one of them will protrude out, बाहर निकल आएगा. So now again you have two equations. So how do you do it? Delta L of concrete is uh, P concrete into length. Obviously, it is same for both, by area concrete into E concrete. This is equal to P steel into length divided by A steel into E steel. So from here you derive a relationship between copper and steel, sorry, concrete and steel, and you put it here. P, the value of P will obviously be known to you. So you can calculate the values of concrete and steel. Once you know P concrete and P steel, what you do? Stresses in concrete is equal to P concrete divided by area concrete, and stress steel is equal to P steel divided by area steel. Now, there are certain common types of mistakes that you make. What is area steel? Area steel is actually, there are four iron rods. So this is 4 into area of a single rod. So area of a single rod is pi by 4 into 4 square. You need to take proper care about the dimensions. Phi is equal to 4 means in engineering language this is 4 mm. If nothing is mentioned, it is in mm. So the total area of steel is 4 into pi by 4 into 4 square. And what is area of concrete? This will be equal to 20 into 20 minus area of steel. ठीक है, बिकॉज यू नीड टू रिमूव दिस एरिया. बाकी और आपके गलती होने के चांसेस, इट इज नेग्लिजिबल, यू कैन इजीली फाइंड इट आउट. ओके.